Hello and welcome to the Otaku Network podcast. My name is Steve.
And I'm Dave.
And we are into week 13 of the 2025 spring season. This is it. We're done. So in the last episode of Kowloon Generic Romance, everything pretty much starts falling apart as Hajime's grasp on the artificial world that he's responsible for crumbles under his guilt and probably a little bit of self-pity, I would say. Oddly enough, Reiko ends up going on this weird metaphysical journey and ends up in a movie theater that's essentially playing Kudo's past, or at least in relation to his relationship with the older version of Reiko. And this is where we find out the circumstances leading to her death. In a spur-of-the-moment decision in the middle of the street, Hajime proposed to her, and she's like, "What are you doing?" Desperately, they go to the tea house that Gwen was working at, and he tries to convince her. Gwen takes the opportunity, takes the photo that we're familiar with. Reiko tells him that she will give him an answer the following day. Goes to her house, enters it to find her dead on her veranda. She had decided to play roulette with the decision to marry him or not. She had gone into northern Kowloon to buy the discontinued medicine and was leaving it up to fate as to whether or not this was going to kill her or not. And Hajime loses. A year later, he returns to the now mostly demolished version of the neighborhood and finds her semi-intact room and breaks down. And this is what triggers generic terror to start sinking in with his desires and memories, thus generating the artificial version of the city that we're aware of. In the theater, she's finally now taken the resolve to be her absolute self, and she's gonna, like the previous version of her, throw the dice, leave the city's confines, and see whether or not she survives. Hajime, on the other hand, he's still got a little bit of work to do on himself. And spoiler, Reiko does not disappear when she steps outside of the boundaries. And there she finds Yaomei, who has been waiting for her under Yulong's suggestion.
And Xiaohei.
Xiaohei was there as well, because Xiaohei and Yaomei are still thick as thieves.
Maybe they're an item.
They could be. I wouldn't put it past them, honestly. Skip ahead 2 years, we find Reiko living her absolute self in Hong Kong proper. She's working at a travel agency. We end the show with a scene of her waiting at a restaurant for Yaomei to show up when Kuno walks through the door and apologizes for taking too long to sort his shit out. That's the end of the show. I don't know if I can think of a more satisfactory way of ending the story.
No, it was actually really good.
It got a little weird with the metaphysical stuff at the when she got absorbed into the...
And she had like her goldfish was her spirit guide and
yeah.
shit. I was just like...
That was a little weird. That was off-brand for the show, I would feel, but whatever.
It is also about a show about a dude's entire mental state recreating a city.
Through the help of some future tech.
But no, this episode was moi fresh.
It was a good cap to the story. This story was very well delivered. I feel that all the things that needed to be answered were really answered and done so in a satisfactory way. It doesn't feel like there was any bloat to it. Or
no, not at all.
Unnecessary plot points, unnecessary characters, etc.
The final episode of My Hero Academia Vigilante kind of gives us the fallout of the last 2 episodes with the Naruhata Festival and the outcome of Knuckle Duster and his daughter's epic battle. So with the Naruhata Festival, because of the success of the first one, we're getting multiple now Naruhata Fests where the original artists, Popstep, the 2 twins, they are now organizing it, inviting, at least for this one, 3 schoolgirls that sang a very popular J-pop song, which incidentally, Koichi also knows and also sings at this festival, which kind of funny. But long story short, the main plot of this was to kind of wrap up this season and kind of say farewell to Knuckle Duster as Koichi's mentor. We very much got this like nail in the coffin type deal where Koichi is kind of coming to terms with the fact that Knuckle Duster is going to move on. It's going to be him and Popstep, which sadness. But also, it's a beginning of what's probably going to be the time skip for the, as of an hour-ish ago, confirmed next season. And yeah, kind of just the wrap-up of the story. There's some more hijinks with Captain Celebrity, where he saves Koichi from a Mantis villain and then chides him for always being in the way in his apartment, trying to hide from Makoto. Makoto finds him. He dashes into the changing area where Pop Step is, and she gives him a foot to the face, and to which he exclaims that he can't afford another lawsuit. And then we get a very depressing revelation that Knuckle Duster's wife probably died, and but now he has his daughter who recognizes him as her dad.
I'm sure there's still that deep-seated animosity, though.
Probably. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll get like a little cut to them trying to regrow the relationship as a father-daughter.
I'm pretty sure Knuckle Duster will continue to be a character in the following season.
I would assume so. I just don't know if he's going to be directly working with Koichi or Pop Step.
Fair.
Because the way Koichi's narrative at the end is kind of like, I never saw him again. Definitely did like the old Yeller, like, and I never saw him again. The Bat Hero got yeeted out of a truck to try to kill Koichi and Ingenium because Mr. Glowy Scarface is, I'm just calling him Scarface for now. Scarface is trying to kick into action plans on plans.
Yeah, the mutated trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely setting up the...
Yeah, they definitely went, here's the structure for season 2. Have fun.
Yeah, we're gonna still be hunting down this trigger thing, and there was the conversation about how it's probably tied with Erasure and I don't know who the woman was.
That was Miss Midnight.
Where they're going over how these new cases of this, like the instant villains are different than the first ones they were dealing with Trigger, and so they're discussing the idea about how the Trigger has been altered, and this is probably some kind of organized effort.
Again, it was also a nice cherry on top, the season we got so far.
Even if the series didn't come back, this was a satisfying end to this story.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's good in both senses. We know that there's another series that exists that allows us to be like, they probably, he's that villain's either going to show up in the other show or it gets resolved, and maybe it just leaves us with a little mystery.
I think another thing that felt like a good resolution was the whole monologue by Koichi regarding Knuckle Duster and his relationship with the two of them.
Yeah.
And the whole idea that Pop Step is continuing to invade his space. And he's just like, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, she lives there now.
Pretty much, yeah. If she's not at home or school, that's where she is.
Especially because she got that whole corkboard and everything. She's trying to common law the shit out of their relationship.
No, it was a good series. I really enjoyed it.
I love that it was so good that it even got you to like it, who doesn't normally like shonen type stuff.
Well, this was an interesting story that didn't waste any time.
Yeah.
Mostly.
I think the only real time wasted bits were for comedic effect. I also love that they did a beach episode without doing a beach episode.
Yes. No, hopefully season 2 will be just as satisfying as season 1. This was pretty satisfying, and as a complete package, it did a good job. Coming from somebody who has very little knowledge of My Hero Academia on purpose.
As someone that doesn't super care about superhero stuff, the My Hero Academia franchise as a whole is, in my opinion, good. Because a lot of the superhero stuff in Western culture is just boring. But with MHA, there's a lot more exploration in the humanity of the heroes.
Yeah.
Whereas the superheroes in Marvel or DC are just they try to have them have human moments, but they're just so ridiculously overpowered that it's hard to give them humanity.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to yuck other people's yum here with superheroes and stuff.
Sure.
But I just don't care for it because of the lack of relatability. But for some reason, I'm able to relate more to the superheroes in MHA because they seem to have more humanity to them.
People want to be powerful and in control of the world around them. So superhero comics exist as escapism.
Okay.
That's my thought.
I don't know.
That's how I feel about a lot of the shonen stuff too.
Fair.
Do
you really feel like MHA is the most?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure everybody wants to be Deku though, or All Might.
Fair.
Then again, I feel that this is way different than MHA in general.
Fair.
And how it presents itself. But any of the hero programs, whether it be the Super Sentai stuff or Dragon Ball or the X-Men or the Avengers, is honestly just power fantasy, yeah. That they try to make interesting to keep it alive over decades with fabricating a story. I don't know what Dragon Ball tries to make a plot. It's really just people show up and get punched.
I feel you. Vigilantes, I feel, really went against the norm of shonen, Shobotism.
You know what Vigilantes reminds me of?
What?
Because it's pretty much the same fucking thing.
What?
Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
Vigilantes and Kick-Ass are pretty much the same thing, except Vigilantes exists with an already created universe, where Kick-Ass just has its own universe.
Yeah. Koichi is Drake Bell.
Yeah. Pop Step's not as badass as the girl from Kick-Ass, but...
The last bit of Lazarus. We get an action-packed episode where pedal meets floor. Abel arrests Dickbag from Inscom. Axel, the text message he got was from the assassin dude, and they have a final showdown on top of the tallest tower in Babylonia City, which Inscom shows up to try to kill them
with a
fucking helicopter. And then assassin dude pulls out a fucking javelin, and then we get
we get Elena and Doug returning on the hyper train.
They make it back to Babylonia City. Everybody is now converging onto where Skinner is. Chris gets sent out to find Axel because he flew the coop. She finds him after a whole building collapses and he lives, but assassin dude gets skished. We found out that the Hundun program was this super assassin program, and that the assassin dude completed his training by killing everyone. Then they all converge on Skinner. The cop comes back. Doug was like, oh shit, he was there. And then they find Skinner. Basically is like, Hirsch, it's good to see you. I wish I could see you, but I'm fucking blind. Writes out the cure for Hopna, which is, I should look at the structure of that a little more closely.
Yeah, we found out Hirsch had a lady boner for him.
Yeah. And then Axel's like, why'd you do it, homie? Oh, we find out that like Hopna was going to be actually used as a chemical weapon by Inscom. And then Axel's like, do you think it's good that we saved everybody? And Skinner's like, meh.
That's your decision.
We get a Mexican standoff when Lazarus is like, oh shit, they don't need us anymore. And everybody that has a gun pulls a gun on Hirsch. And then Abel shows up. It's like, ho up. All their bracelets fall off. Oh, we find out that they're all resistant to the drug. Yeah, that's why it's called Lazarus.
Because they were all at the goddamn airport.
Yep. We find out that that's why it's called Lazarus, because they all came back from the dead, just like biblical Lazarus. And then they distribute the cure, and we find out that Skinner died, and then, the end.
Yeah.
That was pretty much... Oh, and then they still get to be Lazarus. Yay!
There was no reason for them to rush the ending this way. They had plenty of time to make this flow a little bit better, instead of just convenience exposition dumping everything onto us to make some of the questions get answers. Explaining why they pulled the team together is the fact that all 5 of them were just at their airport at the same time.
And they all had a special set of skills.
I did not like this show. I thought this was a waste of time and a waste of talent, honestly.
I mean, I've been trying to argue with you for the last 13 weeks. So,
Cartoon Network should not be involved in the production of anime, I feel, because I don't think they have the right kind of sensibility and, I don't think Cartoon Network should be involved in the production of anime. Just hands down. I don't think it led to anything good. It's just the same as, the 20 odd years ago, the attempt at Americanizing an anime in the form of this ridiculously pointless action vehicle called Afro Samurai. It wasn't good. All right, what do you got to say about Lazarus?
It's awesome. I liked the urgency at the very end where it was like, oh God, we have no time left. We have to find Skinner. And then the Mexican standoff, like, oh shit.
They're going to erase us.
They're going to fucking erase us. Like, quick, take a hostage. I could sense the urgency and like, oh shit, we like need to actually like argue for ourselves to not be Control-Alt-Delete.
Yeah.
And overall, I really liked the show. I liked the kind of commentary on modern issues that kind of everywhere in the world's kind of experiencing. Things like tech bros and global conflict, the lack of global care for like poor communities, the presence of dangerous cults, and kind of like the overall warning of like, maybe don't trust wonder drugs.
There's no such thing as a panacea.
I liked that about the show. Kind of like a critique, but also weaving it into the story.
You could say it was a bit preachy at times.
I feel like during this time, we kind of need that though.
Not that I disagree with the message that Watanabe was trying to get across, but was a little preachy at times.
I feel like at this time, more than ever, we kind of need to be preached at.
Lazarus is to bringing concern for these issues the same way as Skinner's was when he was trying to yell at people about it at the UN. It's going to fall on deaf ears. Honestly.
I know, but...
Nazca, the Valley of the Wind, is a critique and commentary about protecting nature.
Right.
And that's 40 years old at this point. And nobody's still been moved by it to become environmentalists.
I feel like pieces like this are important because if nobody says anything about it, then there's no resistance against this kind of stuff.
No, I'll agree with that.
And does it change the world overnight? No. But does it maybe convince 1 or 2 people or 10 or 20 people that would not have thought about this kind of stuff more critically? And does it make them think about it critically? Maybe. And who's to say that person, that new person that's going to think about this stuff critically won't be a senator or a governor or the president someday?
Honestly, I don't think this is going to be lauded too much beyond its broadcast. I think in the grand...
Again, I'm not saying that it's going to be like when this person's accepting, they're swearing in, they're not be like, and Lazarus was the thing that made me, but like maybe it sows the seed for somebody to start digging more into global issues or state issues or county issues or provincial issues.
I think the most likely outcome for the legacy of this series is it'll be a black mark on Watanabe's CV. I think people will talk about it with a little bit of hesitation and regret.
And I think people are just being too critical because I think the show itself was very good. I think the show told what it wanted to tell. It did it in an entertaining way. I liked the longer drawn out process.
Mm-hmm.
I liked how we got to explore the world of like what's going on in 2059.
I think it was 2050.
Whatever. 2050, 2051,
Regardless.
whatever the fuck it was. I liked how it explored that. We got to see what global tensions were like. I like that kind of like nitty gritty political, geopolitical type stuff.
No, I think, don't get me wrong when I say this, I do, share the opinions that apparently are Watanabe's, but the story felt too preachy and it really just felt like lip service to these concepts that he's apparently passionate about. But when it comes to the anime itself and the story it was trying to tell in regards to these characters and their relationship with the job they have to do, it was not very well put together and haphazardly resolved, I feel. The characters were not even one-dimensional. We had no reason to care for any of them. We barely got any information behind Doug, like hands down. Axel, kind of. We just got information about Axel from other people that, again, untrustworthy narration. There was no reason for us to care about these characters or their plight. Honestly, that's my takeaway from it. Like, it didn't matter. None of it mattered, I feel, in the end. And the fact that the show brought us back to the very beginning to conclude it spins the whole, they could have resolved this a long time ago, but obviously that's not how you get a 13 episode series. But a waste of time being preachy, and then the preachiness was half-assed to begin with, I feel.
Nothing I say will change your mind. So.
No, hell no. I will go down forever demonizing Lazarus as a waste of time.
I will always disagree with you.
And I'm starting to reconsider whether or not, or rethink my enjoyment of his series Terror in Resonance from 10 years ago. Thinking about it and comparing it to the haphazardness that is Lazarus and how Terror in Resonance was a little bit haphazard as well. Though Kids on the Slope might be his series that I have enjoyed the most. Cowboy Bebop is what it is, but I think I got more out of Kids on the Slope than I did Cowboy Bebop. Season is done. All in all, it wasn't too bad of a season. Kowloon Generic Romance is a way different story than I anticipated it to be, and I think I liked it better that way. Like, I thought it was just gonna be like a straight up romance with a little bit of a weird twist to it. No. It was just a sci-fi mystery.
Yeah.
With romance on the side.
Yeah.
I don't know, what grade would you give Kowloon Generic Romance?
It was super consistent. It was always entertaining. The end was a teeny bit weird. You complain that we give too high of grades, so I'm trying to be realistic here.
Okay.
So C's average.
You gave season 1 of Shoshimin, which you at the time did not like, a C.
Okay. I'll give this an A-.
A minus?
Yes.
Same. I'm going to give it an A minus. It's good.
Because the first season of Shoshimin was just average. Like, it was
Yes.
good once you kind of get it all together.
I gave it a C plus.
But like, it's not like blow shit out of the water.
Mind-blowing. This isn't mind-blowing either, but it's such a concise and well-paced story.
Yeah, it's not just above average. It's definitely well above average.
Yeah.
Which generally in letter grading systems, A's are well above average.
There's always room for improvement too with anything.
Right.
My Hero Academia Vigilante. I'll give it a B plus. I don't know how I would improve it. I will say that a lot of the grade I give Kowloon Generic Romance is because of how tight I feel the story is. It was just so well put together and unraveled. My Hero Academia, it kind of meanders a bit. It keeps it on its course, but it's doing this world building character familiarization thing. The world building was good on top of the world building that already exists within My Hero Academia, but we had to learn the world of Koichi and Popstep and Knuckle Duster, and it did a good job of doing that.
I think I will give it a B+, but I'm giving it like an 89.99, like as close to an A- as I can without actually giving it an A-, because it was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I super, super loved just everything about the storytelling and everything. It was fun, funny, action-packed.
Okay, so
loved it.
you gave season 1 of Sakamoto Days a B.
I feel like this is better than Sakamoto Days.
Okay. Lazarus.
I will give Lazarus a B+, because I enjoy the politicalness of it. I enjoy the digging into issues as to why Skinner would do something like this. Because, you could just be like, okay, Skinner did this, and never learn about the reasons as to why he did it.
Sure.
And just think that Skinner is a complete villain the whole time. But as you learn and go out through the series, you learn that, yes, Skinner is still technically a villain because he is trying to end the world.
Mm-hmm.
But he has huge reasons because of government corruption and all this other bad stuff that I could feasibly see somebody being driven to this point if they had the means and the intelligence to do it.
So I'm going to give it a D+. It felt clunky, and I didn't appreciate what was essentially a bait and switch in the last quarter of it. And I think I had even brought it up in the course of it, where it felt like the whole search for Skinner and the cure for Hopna was just a MacGuffin. And then we got dumped on us this story about governmental malfeasance. That was the true culprit of the story. I think that was disingenuous to the audience. Yeah, I rate it the same way I rated Remonster.
I think this show's way better than Remonster.
I think it's a little bit better than Remonster, but I don't know if it's as good as My Dear Friend Nokotan, which I rated as a C-. This one in Nokotan did kind of meander, so maybe, I don't know, but those are way two different stories and way two different roles as entertainment.
I do definitely think that this is better than Sakamoto Days.
Okay.
There's percentages. I can definitely give it a lower B+ percentage than I would for My Hero Academia Vigilante.
Sure.
It will never be as good as Red Cat Ramen.
Red Cat Ramen is a really good show for what it is.
Because Red Cat Ramen's fucking adorable and I love it.
It's just a really solid
It's so cute.
slice of life.
It's so fucking cute. I love it. I wish it would get an English dub.
So we're done with the spring season, obviously. And next week we'll be kicking off the summer season where we have 3 brand new shows. My pick is Hikaru Died in Summer. I cheated a little bit. I own the first 4 volumes of the manga, but I've only read the first volume. But at this point, I don't remember all the details, so I'm excited for this one. This is apparently there was an interview with I think the director of the anime, and how their goal was to make the horror aspects of the story more intense in the anime than it was in the manga. It's really hard to be scared of artwork. That's always a really difficult. So I don't think I'm going to lay up at night replaying scenes of terror from the summer Hikaru died, but I'm interested to see how it delivers. The story that I've seen so far in the manga is visceral and unsettling. So the story deals with a high schooler named Yoshiki, who his best friend Hikaru has changed during a summer. And the unsettlingness of the change prompts him to bring it up to his friend one day. And his friend pretty much admits that he is not Hikaru. He is something that took over his body and is trying to integrate into society. We don't know. That's a big thing with the mystery, is we don't know what this entity is and what its goal is. But it's trying to build a rapport with Yoshiki and is willing to go to any length to maintain that relationship.
My pick for the summer season is Sakamoto Days Season 2. I really enjoyed the first season. I wanted to continue to see where the story went, especially after the end of the first season. I was kind of captivated by the world building of Sakamoto Days. So here we go, continuing on into the second season of the ex-assassin turned lovingly plump father/storekeep.
Family man.
And we get to see the continued hijinks of him and his found family, if you will. And
Joint pick
is going to be
City, the animation. So City is another manga by the creator of the fantastic Nichijou. So I own all of City, but I've been really lazy and I've never read it aside from half of the first tankobon like 6-7 years ago. So I don't remember anything from it. All I know is it's going to be a series of semi-connected insanity similar to Nichijou. So this is going to be really fun. Kyoto Animation is doing it.
hijinks abound.
From the trailers, it looks like they're maintaining a visual quality more in line with how it is in the manga than enhancing it like they did with Nichijou, which I don't hate. Nichijou looks fantastic. Not as polished as Nichijou's anime was, but that won't take away from the insanity and the hijinks. Sakamoto won't be starting right away, so next week we'll be talking about episodes 1 of City and Hikaru. In addition to that, we have the next season of Anime Plus rolling out next week as well. We just wrapped up Shoshimen, and this week's episode, we did a special one where we did a recap of what exists so far anime-wise for the Rascal Doesn't Dream series. So starting next week, we will be picking up Anime Plus with episode 1 of Rascal Does Not Dream of Santa Claus.
It's going to be a great summer.
All right, there we go. There we have it. Spring season done. On to the summer. Let us know what shows you guys liked for the spring season. I still have way too many I've got to finish.
Yeah, there's definitely shows that I still have to watch Apothecary Diaries.
And then at some point in July, I'm hoping that we will have a one-off episode where myself and 2 guest hosts will be talking about Gundam GQX. So yeah, other than that, thanks for listening, and we will catch you guys next time.
Deuces.